This is nannuoshan. I'm Gabriele. Welcome back to the T101 series. Today it's the second day, the second hour, if you want, that we spend together, still on the topic of white tea. I was actually planning leaving fooding area white tea and going on investigating also white tea from other areas. But as a matter of fact, I didn't complete what I wanted to say last time, or what I had to say, and so I thought we just continue from where we left. And I have also here people online and having a look at the chat just in case anyone want to post something, but also feel free to just speak out. On YouTube, they don't see you, they just hear your voice. So it's not too bad, let's say, don't be too shy. And it helps me also not speaking 1 hour long without any interruption. What I suggest doing is, first of all, having a look about what we have seen last time. So let me share the screen with those. All right, so you should be seeing my screen now, and you should see also the notes that we took last time. So just discussing briefly what we have already discussed. We started, I think, speaking about the origin of white tea, and how, although according to the books, it is just a few hundred years that white tea exists, probably was already existing way before that, given the fact that the processing is relatively simple. We mentioned it, just withering and drying. Then we spent quite some time looking at different production area, and if you missed that class, I'll put a link on the screen so that you can still review it. And we looked at very different places, all around and about fooding, in particular in northern Fujian. And then we spent a little bit of time speaking about the taste, if I remember correctly. So in particular more the fresh tea, what type of taste to expect. And I showed you some photos from my tea sourcing journey in China, so that you can get a little bit more a feeling, and also maybe information that are not readily available, right? Because if you want to know what cultivars are available for white tea, what cultivars are used for white tea, you can actually just Google it, or nowadays with AI, but probably AI cannot share exactly my own sourcing experience. So I'm trying to use my personal experience also to give a little bit of more of a personal touch, if you want, to this series of tea classes. So as for today, while I'm actually starting my brewing here, I was thinking about, and sorry, super hot here, so you will see this multiple times during this hour. And I would say it's worth investigating a little bit more the cultivation and processing of white tea. Because we mentioned that on paper it's simple, just withering and drying, but I have experienced quite a lot of diversity in how tea or leaves are withered and dried to produce white tea. And also I have experienced quite a range of different type of cultivations, but even more different type of, let's call that factory. And with factory, let's say, I'm referring to every production facility, right? Like, it doesn't have really to be a factory. Maybe production facility is more appropriate. Just any really room or even large factory where white tea is produced. And also there is, I would say, quite a range that we have available. So just checking here, yes, I mean, we discussed also the different naming of the three main white tea from the area, and also then there was a question about the cultivars, and investigated also a little bit about the cultivar. Cool. So now, while I'm brewing this tea, maybe I should actually also use some of the photos I took during the journey. Last week, I already filtered out some of them. Actually, I can use this multi-purpose today, and so we can review some of those photos so that you can really a little bit at least experience what I experienced, why I visited those regions, and maybe understand better what I mean when I say that it is very diverse. Let me see where they are. Sorry, there are, in this series of D classes, there are these moments where I need to find out and search things just because of the nature of the T classes. It's a little bit spontaneous. Although, I mean, I said I prepared some photos, but I just have to find them. So, what we have here. In the meantime, actually, I'm asking for those online, and feel free to write if you want, what are you drinking, if you are drinking any tea right now or anything else. Okay, so, here we go. A lot of photos, but I think I will probably open all those and just randomly have a look at them. Before even jumping into processing, I have here a collection of photos that I want to show you that I think are interesting because they show also how varied. Let me share the screen. So the idea behind these photos, and of course I forgot my first brew, is that, but luckily white tea doesn't get bitter, so no problem. And so when jumping from one topic to the other, what I was saying, yes, that before we look into processing and how diverse processing can be, even if it is just 2 steps, let's look at the leaves. And I just here have a random series of photos that I took myself in different places, actually mainly production facilities, all fresh tea, just freshly made. And just look at, I think someone has the mic on. Let me turn you off. Let me see if I can scroll. Yes, and look just how diverse those tea looks like, right? Like here we have probably something looks like a Baimudan Wang, 2 different types. You see how darker one is with respect to the other. Here 2 Baimudan, same producer, and they still look fairly different. Another, kind of Baimudan. You see it's very fresh, both are very fresh. Just brewed. And also here, 2 Indian on one side and a Baimudan on the other. Look how one is really green, fresh green, and the other one is more silver color. Here we go, we have even a little bit of golden. Like if you show me this picture, I would think for a moment if it is a black tea or it is a white tea. But I know it is a white tea because we were in a white tea production factory. Yeah, I think that's it for the photo. But just to give you that feeling that it can be really, really diverse. And now let's see, I have a lot of photos. I think I will have to open in groups. I'll take the first 13 or 14. Let's see. So let's see how withering and drying can be done. Sharing again. Well, oh wait, there are a few messages here. Hello, what tea are we of? What is the tea of today? I'm drinking still the same tea as last time, the Baimudan 2025, just because I still have some left and I like the tea. It is not about white tea, it is about white tea today, and we'll be talking today about white tea. I would say for sure also next time about white tea. So I say we're taking it really slowly to just share as much information as I have, and then we move on to the next topic when we feel, or when I feel I have nothing more to say. So, what do you see on this picture? Let me be a little bit more interactive than the last time. Those that are on Teams and are now real-time live on this call, what step are you seeing here? Is it withering or is it drying? You can speak out or you can just write. Please do one of the two. We have a lot of people online. I hope that someone brave enough to try. You have 50-50%. I mean, it's not too difficult, you know. Alisa, thank you for being brave, is saying that we have withering, and this is correct. You see that the leaves are very fresh, but they're not withering outdoor. You remember that last time we mentioned that outdoor withering under the sun is crucial for white tea production, or at the very least that is crucial for many, to the point that there are people that says that if white tea is not withered and dried under the sun, is not really white tea. I still call it white tea actually, because for me, as long as the steps are withering and drying, I wouldn't know where else to put that tea otherwise. But here we have indoor withering. Now, what do you see in this picture is a few things. It's some long, I don't know what to call these, like pools, let's say, where you have all these leaves, but these big container are not completely full of leaves. The leaves are only at the very top. There is a web underneath, like a grid on which the leaves are put. And then you see that on the left-hand side, there is there are like a conduct that is entering into each container, and this is where air is actually driven. And this is just to facilitate with air from underneath removal of moisture of water from the leaves. Why doing so? So this may be a bit more difficult question. Why do you think that these producers are doing this step indoor and not just outdoor, as we have seen last time in the circular containers? Any ideas? To avoid bad weather. One person is saying to avoid bad weather. Thank you, Christopher. And yes, avoiding bad weather is certainly a reason. If outside is raining, you know, we shouldn't actually even pick in the leaves, but if it's continuing raining and people don't want to miss the leaves, otherwise they will grow and then it's too late, they would pick the leaves anyway, and then they do the withering indoor, because if you put them outside under the rain, of course they are not gonna lose a lot of water. It is a more controlled environment, this also, right? There are different temperature, different level of insulation that they may have in different time of the day and the year, so they have they have to do that indoor. Someone is asking what's the problem with the rain, and there are many problems with the rain, but one of the problems is that the leaves are wet, and then before you remove all that water, it takes quite some time, and you have to do that to proceed with the next step. Nearly every tea goes through the withering phase at the beginning. Now, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I leave it to you. For me, as long as the tea tastes, it's okay. Like, I mean, of course, it's nice to think of the leaves in small baskets under the sun. It's beautiful, really, to experience that. But on the other hand, it has to taste. And like Cornelius or Arno was saying, if we are able to get a better tea because it's more controlled condition, why not? Yeah. I'm not saying that's the type of tea I'm preferring. I'm also trying a little bit, if you want, to intentionally contradict what is the mainstream, the main thinking, and not necessarily because it's exactly what I think, but just a little bit to broaden our horizon, if you want. Let's move on. Now, we have here, look, there is glooming wood inside this stove here. It's quite a big stove, and you see this guy is just collecting wood and putting it into the stove. And all this hair that is produced actually in this stove that is out, it's not outside, in this factory it is in a room next to the main room, goes, let me see if I have a picture. No, it's not shown here because I'm not 100% sure. And I don't remember exactly, so, but it seems it could come actually through this wall and enter this machine. This is a drying machine. So this machine, the leaves go on this side, roll up, pass over hot air, and then they exit dry. Also here, it is done for simplifying the drying. And also I have to say that I hope guys actually it's not too loud. There is a guy just opposite, in the house opposite of mine, that is cutting the the meadow, the grass on the meadow, so I hope it's not too loud. But yeah, the drying step at the end is something that is done also when you do sun drying, actually. I'll come to that in a moment. Okay, and thanks Alisa for confirming that. And there is, what's the approximate, I think, is thickness of leaves in those container? That much, like maybe 4 or 5 inches, 10-15 centimeters, something like that. That's the thickness of the leaves layer in the container for withering that you have seen before. This one here. I'm happy, guys, that you do all these questions, and I always try to keep an eye, because are mostly probably questions that also the people that are online later on YouTube watching would come up with. So showing you a little bit more, you see all bags of white tea that are just packed and ready to be sold. And look how much here they have. And these leaves are actually not there yet, ready to be sold, but there is one step actually. Okay, good. And so just continuing here, we have look at these people that are down here on the back, almost outside, and are these ladies that are taking leaves out of these big bags and they are sorting them. This picture was taken about 10 years ago, now a bit less, but quite some time ago. Nowadays there are also machines that are able to do the sorting, but not everyone have access to those machines. There are even companies that only do that. They get just leaves in, they do the sorting, and they give the leaves back. So these ladies are removing big stems, broken leaves out of shomei. Even more tea. And look, while I discuss all this, also look how actually the room look like. Is very simple factory. I would say relatively clean. You know, it's not 100%. It's not maybe US European standard. But I can tell you there is much worse than that. For example, this here. Look at this. So, again, the question: what is happening here? Which step is this? Drying or withering? So this is also withering, and they even didn't use a towel underneath. They're just lay down the fresh leaves on the road, and then I would go back to you and I would tell you, what do you prefer? Do you prefer sun withering, or do you prefer indoor withering in the pool that we have seen before? Like, you know, it depends on withering. If sun withering is done like that, with the car passing by, and then they're just wiping up all the leaves with all the dust and whatever there is on the ground, then I'm not so sure we are so much into sun withering, right? All right, now sorry, and the pictures are not in the right order. It's like, you know, it's just in the order I took them, so and select them. Here we are in a different location. I think this was actually Nannuoshan, We mentioned nannuoshan, what is considered the original place of white tea, one of the most renowned, if not the most renowned place for white tea production. And these are the gardens that are around. I just scroll through just to give you a little bit of an idea. You see that these bushes here are relatively sparse. You can relatively easily walk between the rows of the bushes, right? And if you look at this picture here, it is way denser. It's just the same garden, just different regions. It's a very, very big garden. And I remember very good when I was there because I wasn't used to see so extensive cultivation in China, where you have so wide bushes and so many of them that you can barely actually walk in between, yeah. Yeah, look at here. This person is really, you know, struggling to go through the bushes. All right. So let's continue the discussion. I'll just select a few more pictures, and I said we jump a little bit from a topic to the next. But the whole topic, the whole thematic at the moment is enlarging our understanding of cultivation areas and processing. So we'll always see picture about cultivation area, gardens, and processing to go beyond withering and drying, to understand what there is else, right? And also maybe also going back, as I see now on the screen, but let me share so that you see it as well. And also go back a little bit to, I think it was Arno asking last time, what type of cultivar we have. And we mentioned the big white, the Dabai, and then the Dahao, and so on. We also mentioned some, you remember when we say about Tsaicha and Chuntijon, which is the same or different word for the same thing, which is the kind of naturally occurring plant just by seed reproduction. And although I'm not 100% sure, because honestly it's just a picture from long ago, I would say that what you see now on the screen is actually Tsaicha. You see that it's very different than what we've seen before, in the sense that the leaves are not pruned. They don't spend a lot of time in making out a nice shape out of them, let's say. Also here, maybe you can see it better. You see how the plants are pretty wildly grown among other trees. Probably many in China would say this is a wild tea. It's not really a wild tea in the sense that it just grew up there by itself. It's more either a tea that was planted there long ago and then no people anymore pick that leaf regularly or take care of the bush so much. Or what can happen also is that when you have a main cultivation area like a tea field, that just in the surrounding here and there are a few bushes just growing because maybe some of those seeds just landed up there. And that's something that you see from time to time. And if a farmer does the effort of going around the area, looking in between other plants and picking leaves out of these more naturally, let's say more naturally growing plants that are not treated, so you're also pretty sure there is no fertilizers used or so on, then they would designate it as Tsaicha or Chuntijon. And let's see if I can. This is terms that we have seen last time, so I probably have just to here. This one here, Chuntijon, Tsaicha. And this is what they would designate it, or some people would even say it is wild tea. But we go back to another tea garden, also nice because you have all these big trees shadowing on the bushes, which helps a lot, but still very extensive cultivation with almost no space between bushes. What's the difference between withering and drying the leaves? So withering is removal of moisture from the leaves. I cannot tell you now by heart the percentage, but you remove slowly remove water content, let's say down to 30% of original water content in the leaf, okay? Now, don't stick really to this 30%, but more or less just to give you an idea. When you do the drying, usually the drying is faster. Wintering can take days in the case of white tea, and when you do the drying, usually faster, and then you reduce the moisture quantity in the leaves to just a few percent. And the reason for drying the leaves is that you want to preserve the leaves. Drying is always done for every tea, because if you don't dry the leaves, they will just get moldy, right? So you have to dry them, like if you want to preserve fruits, you have to dry the fruits. Yeah. So thanks for the question, Melanie. All right, let's see what other picture we have. Okay, this is another factory, is really another level of factory, another level of pricing also, way smaller batches than what we've seen before, but also here they process some leaves in these large containers. We have also, in the same factory actually, we have these baskets that some of you may have seen in the context of Yancha in Oolong, Yancha, but here we have in the context of white tea. So what are these this basket with charcoal inside for? Anyone has an idea of those on Teams? Show a few more pictures of them. What are these baskets for? And while you think about that, I will load more picture. Adding a smoky taste is one guess. Create steam to dry the leaves is another one. Normally roasting, maybe here to dry the leaves is another one. First of all, thank you to everyone brave enough to speak out and let us know your ideas, and that's certainly good. So it's interesting because, yeah, I'm understanding that this is a step that I have it actually down here. These are the same baskets. That is not very well known in white tea. This step is actually not for roasting, so it's not to give a roasty taste to the white tea. And it is just the very last step of drying. These InGen, I'm pretty sure that's InGen. Let's have a look. It's difficult to say, but yeah, probably it's InGen. So by how InGen Silver Needle. When you dry under the sun, you are not really able to reach just a few percentage of moisture in the leaves. The leaves still remain a little bit wet, let's say. So it's not uncommon to add an additional refining step to completely dry the leaves. And there are also different ways for doing that. And one, the most, I would say premium one, is using hot charcoal. And then you place these white, in this case, white towel on top of the basket, and you lay down one layer of leaves. They will stay there for quite a few hours. I don't remember exactly how long, until they are well dried, and that's then the final tea that you can drink. So let's go back to our series. Now I remember very well, this is definitely a nannuoshan. Nannuoshan, I don't remember if I wrote it last time. Location, no, so I will write it today. I thought I did. nannuoshan is the most famous place for white tea, I would say, most notorious one. And also here, I mean, while we are not on the road, they are still just having the leaves down outside. In this case, for drying, actually, this is not withering. They are at the end of drying. Maybe they do one more step, but it is actually for drying here. And you see, I mean, it's an in-between conditions, right? We're not on the road, but it's still on a concrete plate. They would probably keep as clean as possible. It is just within the factory itself. There is a comment from Michelle. These photos makes me admire the process of tea culture even more. Has this factory changed much since then? I don't know, because I visited this factory only one time. I never sourced tea from this factory. I was just checking out different places, and I didn't find it easy to find something that really convinced me for multiple reasons when I was in fooding. So by now, I mean, it has been a few years since then, we have a solid chain of suppliers for white tea, and I'm not really intentionally seeking anything else. It's like I'm pretty happy with what we have, and it's more than enough, even I would say. But from time to time, it happens to find something different. But I cannot tell you, yeah, if that changed or not. This is the same. You see this building here, it's one of these buildings, they have multiple of them inside. So it's like a greenhouse a little bit, right? And they do the same kind of withering that we've seen before, but in a greenhouse, so much warmer. And they still have fans as well. I mean, if you know you have to search for fans, you can see them here in the back. At least I think so. Yeah, there is a conduct, and out of these there is just air going through and pulled inside the different boxes. So also in this factory they were doing that. And on the ceiling, you see up here, they have also a ventilation system just to pull air out inwards. Yeah, here we see a little bit more pictures. Certainly I would say more curated than the one with the leaves on the street. A little bit more. Okay, and here is nice. Here you see just the view from the road going up nannuoshan. You might remember, because I showed it a little bit on the map last time, that is very close to the sea. And from this picture, you can see actually the sea down there and the islands that maybe some of you remember from last video. Otherwise, just scroll quickly the one on YouTube from last time and you will see where nannuoshan is, and can imagine exactly in which direction I took this photo from the car. Little break. Okay, we have a last picture here. No, we have more. This is tricky. What is this guy doing? Besides the fact that it's dressed like it would be a soldier, but he's not. Here, very, very neat engine, I would say. Very neat, small leaves, very uniform. This is expensive stuff. I mean, it's nannuoshan, so it's expensive just because of that. And if you're used to seeing a little bit of tea, you can tell these are very little needles. They have nothing to do with the very large and long needles that we have seen last time. You remember when the ladies were just removing the leaves that were already open just to leave the needle inside. This is the very, very first little needle that comes out. He's turning the leaves. Yes, that's what he's doing. But I will show you a little bit more. This is the guy. What is this machine? Pretty interesting, actually. It shows really how diverse white tea production in the same very area. All the pictures you have seen today are either from the fooding area or from Zhenghe, one of these two. Now, no one else. What are these guys doing? I'll show you more. Here. Now look, the leaves are underneath here on the bottom. You can see them here. Some of you should understand from this picture. Let's see. What is this step? And while you think, I drink. It's not the sorting, but yeah, good try, could have been. From this picture, you see that bringing air into the leaves. Yes, Jean-Michel, that's correct. You can see this conduct here that is coming in, and this is coming, maybe better, more visible here. No, it's coming from behind this wall, and behind that wall there is this room where again we have a wood stove here, where this guy is also firing quite some wood, and this hot air is conveyed in the other room. The two rooms, by the way, are separated to avoid smoky taste, and this is nothing else than the step that we've seen before for drying the leaves. The very last step of drying, where you add a little bit more heat to just remove the last little bit of moisture. Before we have seen this step done with the charcoal in the basket. Now we see this step done with a slightly larger machine, but still in small batches. I mean, down here we have probably 15 kilograms. For a factory is nothing, of course, yeah? And you remember that at the beginning today, I showed you a larger machine where I was telling you on this machine, the leaves go up on one side, then in the center, they're subject to hot air coming from the bottom, and is also for drying. This was another one for exactly the same step. So we've already seen 3 different machines for doing exactly the same thing. One of them not being a machine, but just bamboo's baskets with the charcoal. Anything else to show here? No. Yes, this one is the one, you know, same step. This one is the same step. This room here that you see here is this room that you see here on the left-hand side. So they have just collected leaves from those baskets, and they will put them in those boxes behind there. The screen share is going. Sorry. So I'll do it again. All right, I was saying that this machine is nothing else than the same as this. It's just a different step. It's the same step, sorry, but with a different machine. Here it's just on these baskets with charcoal, and here we have the machine with hot air. And this room here is just this room where you can see just the entrance door. These guys have collected leaves from those baskets and will be placed in the box here on the back. Okay, stop. Let me see if I have anything else to show you. Okay, good. So I hope that this was useful to get a feeling of how diverse also white tea production can be. Jennifer, you raise your hand, but your microphone is muted. Now.
I was just wondering if there is a big difference in taste between the machine process and the basket process.
So my answer would be that I probably don't have an enough wide experience in tasting so many different that I could really make a safe statement there. I've tasted from multiple farmers, both the one and the other, but over the course of so many years that at least I could say I never noticed a very, very clear trend. Let me say like that. Maybe thinking out loud, one trend that I've noticed that usually those that really do that effort of having the steps with small batches, sun withering for sure, and also the drying on the charcoal, they generally have good quality tea. That doesn't mean that a batch cannot go wrong and they can still selling it, but generally they have really good quality. And those that I've shown you there, I remember some tasting done with these guys. I should have some picture. Let me see if I have a picture. Just a moment. I thought I had. But yeah, while if you go with the other processing that is a bit more diverse in the sense that sometimes it is done outside, sometimes inside under the greenhouse with larger batches, there is more more differences, let's say. Yeah, you can find good, but really good that you probably cannot even tell apart, and you can find less good. Now, as a matter of fact, for example, usually a shop, well, not always maybe, but we taste the tea, because I can speak for ourselves, we taste the tea before buying anyway. Like even if I'm not traveling to China for that specific tea, we have independent tasters that we select for different type of tea. We send the tea to them, and then they confirm if the tea is good or not. And so this is for me what really matters. There's certainly an advantage of the second type is that you save money. So if you find a really good batch and it is produced in larger quantities, it's certainly worthy. Another aspect that I think is not to be neglected is that if you visit one of the really beautiful small production, they are really nice places. I have a picture here. Let me share again. You see, for example, this one. They are kind of, this is a factory actually, right? But they are really nice tasting rooms with massive wood, nice corners. And when you drink tea there, it's tasting good also because of the environment in a way, like the attention they put in the preparation and so on. And that's an aspect that it's important, yeah. And more than myself, I was thinking before experiencing it, and maybe more than anyone would think. I'm really annoyed that I cannot find that one picture that I'm searching. Let me see. That's how it is. Okay, anyway. And all right, so I would say we have completed the topic of processing and cultivation. I don't think I have any more photos selected for the topic. I'm not meaning that this is a complete review of all possible way of producing white tea, but it should give you an idea of the different ranges that we have. Let me see what we can talk about based on the photo. I think what I would like to do now is, let's do like this. I'll go on our website, because one of the aspects actually that I didn't mention last time of these classes is that we have also some of our new colleagues online on the call, and I also would like to use the opportunity for them to familiarize with our teas, because as you know, we have quite a few teas, and for those working just new in nannuoshan, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to follow on and have a clear idea. And sometimes, you know, we also do mistake when we send out the tea just because we are not yet familiar with the leaves. And I think it's a good exercise to just go through, open some of these pages. And by the way, look, this one here, 2023, was a year when we sourced an engine from nannuoshan. And look at the price. This is it's not a cheap tea. So we have just the 50 gram left, is almost 60 euros. It's really expensive stuff. So this gives you an idea. You pay for the location. It's certainly an extremely good by how engine. Yeah. Is it worth the price? Spending double the money for probably having a tiny bit of better taste? Up to you. It's, you know, the fact is that you certainly pay also for the location, not only for the leaves, let's say. And this one here, that is also from the area. Actually, it is, you remember that I showed you on the back side of nannuoshan, where you go down, there is still this large wild area in Panchi. This is actually where we source most of our white tea nowadays. It's the area I like the most, is widely, in my view, the most consistent in terms of quality. And well, it's sold out here, so I cannot tell you the price. I could actually, so you can. I show you something. I don't think I've never shown these before during a YouTube video. You will see in a moment our actually back shop. If I'm able to remove this banner here. This is nannuoshan back shop, so I could actually just copy paste the tea here, just Shopify, and here we should be able to see the price. 50 gram was 33.50. Okay, so that you get an idea of the difference in price. I remember both these, and I would say yes, the nannuoshan has a slight edge with respect to this one here, but it's double the price. Paimodan Shomei we have discussed, and for example, if you open even our Shomei, it comes from the same factory in Panchi. Okay, here we see something, and it is a pressed cake. Did we discuss pressed white tea last time? I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure. So if any one of those that are online remember, and if you don't remember, I take it for a no. So hot. Okay, other people also don't remember. So this is Shomei 2017. Let me see. I remember having some pictures about that. Yeah, I have two pictures. So look at this guy. He's smoking. That's why there is the smoke around his face, and he's holding a cake in his hand. This picture was taken before the 2017. It was probably 2015, something like that. And yes, and here you see even more cakes, and also different type. This is more even an Ingen or a Baimudan, and those are Shomei. So there has been a precise point in time when white tea was started being pressed, and it is 2006. 2006 is the year, probably that's a go-to memory, but around that time. And anyone know why white tea was, or I would say anyone can speculate, because I don't know even for sure, I'm also speculating. Anyone would like to speculate why white tea has been starting being pressed in 2006? I'm looking at those on the live chat. I mean, it's not an easy question, I know, but if you go by association, what is another tea that is usually pressed? Let's make it simple. Who want to write that? What is another tea that is usually pressed? Maybe just follow the trend of pu'er. Yep. Right? So 2006 is those years where the price of pu'er was really rising, right? We have then the fall of pricing for pu'er in 2008, but 2006 was also almost at the maximum, right? And you follow the trend. I mean, pu'er sells well, Cells were aged, right? Cells were aged. We mentioned last time, this I remember we mentioned that white tea is also connected with aging. Yeah, we mentioned 1 year, 3 years, 7 years is like medicine. So it's, and so, you know, association easily done, and they started pressing it. And if I go back to the shop, we have actually quite a few cakes from that time. We have this Show Me 2017, and I'm now intentionally skipping those that are not from the fooding area because I want to discuss them in another moment. So yes, I see those also other people then we're just writing, we're just typing into the chat, but I see there was the hype with pu'er. Was there not a boom around the time that with the pu'er boom that like in a second appeal? So yeah, that's all correct. And you see here there is more that is being pressed. And here one more. Okay, so two things that I notice here. I will start speaking about this one. Look at these very big leaves. And this is for me an example of the fact that white tea can be really affordable. A whole cake is 40 euros, 250 grams, 50 grams is 9 euros. Very, very large leaves, but it's good. It's like, you know, it's not, it's not like it looks like. It looks really rough with very large leaves, but you can really get very good white tea even with large leaves. And it's like as a daily drinker, it's really nice. And in this case, I actually clicked on this page, not so much because of the large leaves, because I noticed this here, Dom Pien. And Dom Pien, and if anyone knows what Dom Pien means, usually comes out in other contexts, not in the context of white tea. You can write it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm also opening here another page. We go to a bubble carp that we have seen last time, and I show you what Dong Pien means. Dong is like winter, and Pien probably translated like pieces, slices. It's the same Pien, I think, as Luangwa Pien. Cultivar typically grown at low altitudes and harvested in winter. Okay, this is honestly a limited meaning of Dong Pien. It might be a cultivar, this I don't know, I never heard of it, honestly, and personally I don't think it is a cultivar, but I don't want to contradict the author of Bubble Carp because I know he's very knowledgeable. Like, I'll put it this way, I didn't know that it was a cultivar, but certainly it's not only that. So the designation Dom Pien is winter pieces because it comes from leaves that are picked in winter when usually the plant has already fallen asleep, but then there are a few days of really nice weather and you get some fresh new leaves. And in this case was October. So October in northern Fujian, the tea plants are actually not flashing new buds, but probably there was a few days of that year, a few days of nice weather, especially at altitude, and they got some new leaves, they waited, and then probably that year they might also have done some ingen or some baimudan with those leaves, and what we got is a cake from that time, from those leaves. So just to see that Dom Pien, although it's usually more used in Taiwan for sure, it's also come here sometimes. Not common though. Another thing that I wanted to show you is this, because this is another big topic, and it's sold out at the moment, but it will come back. And this is a Show Me from year 2000. Now, we discussed that aged white tea is a thing, right? So this has been a thing for a long time. But when you see Show Me year 2000, you should be at least a little bit skeptical. Does anyone knows why? These leaves. So, see, I mean, it's not an easy question, but I would say that the people have white tea is a tea that is not kept usually, right? You like the producer produce fresh white tea and sell it out, and it's not like pu'er where you have collectors of white tea that keep white tea for long, and sorry, I'm just reading. Someone is writing that he has heard that the concept of 137 years was created recently as a marketing. I cannot tell you how recently, but I have heard of it ever since I've been in China. So at least for 15 years, a little bit more, which is, yes, not so long ago in a way. So I cannot tell you if 20, 30 years ago it was a thing. I would say that if I just think about it and I should try my guess, I would guess that you are right. That is more of a recent concept, and that 20, 30 years ago, the concept of aging white tea was not that popular. But we have to go back to the trend that we have noticed, right? We have spoken about pressed tea. 2006, they started pressing white tea. So they copied something from the pu'er, the pressing, just for a selling proposition. And maybe that was the years when they also started with the story about 1 year is still fresh, 3 years, 7 years is medicine. I think 3 years is a treasure, and 7 years, no, 3 years is medicine, no, 3 years is a treasure, 7 years is a medicine, one of the two, or inverted. But now, if we think more widely, when the hype with pu'er started, it started at the very end of last millennium, at the last century, end of the 90s, beginning of the year 2000. So already in those years, we had the Taiwanese going to EU and to Yunnan, and well, without having to tell all that story, but the hype of pu'er, the renaissance of pu'er started. And we had in the past also a shomei, I think from 2007, which would say is, for you guys that you buy tea, is a way safer choice, because 2006 they started pressing the tea, 2007 an aged tea, it makes sense. They certainly in those years they were copying pu'er. And if actually I share again, just to show you a little bit more of the back shop, and we go in our collection under product, you can click on collection, you can search white tea. And what you can see here is all the, this is what, I don't see them. Sorry, this is the pop tea collection. I have to choose another white tea, which is here. And this is nannuoshan. So you see, we have all the teas active. It means that it is online. And actually it doesn't mean it is online, but it is active. It's usually when it is active, in our case, is online. But you have a bunch of other archived products down here, quite a few actually, that are all other sold out white tea that we had on stock. And if I scroll here, look, we have a Shomei 2016, Baimudan 2007, Baimudan 2008. So those are all safe years for aged white tea. 2000 is a little bit less because it was not yet a year where many people were copying pu'er. But we were kind of lucky some years ago in finding a person, is not a white tea producer, but a person that was very much into pu'er at that time, and it is from the area, and from the fooding area, and decided to just buy a huge amount of shomei and just keep it, basically. And so that's why we have been offering this tea over and over again, because every time we buy a few kilograms, and when it sells out, the next time we go and buy tea in that area, we also buy a few kilograms from this collector. And as long as he has it, we will keep on offering the tea from that year. So I would consider, like, even myself, I wouldn't, trust so much someone just if it tells me I have a shomei from year 2000. But in this case, there is a little bit of a story behind it. The fact that the guy was into pu'er, and in those years he was following what was happening in Yunnan and decided to just buy large quantities of shomei because it was anyway super cheap, and he thought these might become more pricey as it ages. So that's the story about aged white tea and why you don't really find aged white tea from the last century. All right, I think we are pretty much done. What I can show you here is other teas that are also pressed. When they started pressing tea, they started with Bingcha, but then they did also like Dragon Balls that we see here. They pressed, this was a great tea actually, I missed it. Let me see. Maybe some of you remember this tea. Gong Mei brick was really nice, nice cake. I'm not sharing the screen. Thank you. Sorry, keep on forgetting that. I was meaning this one here is was a Gong Mei, was really nice tea that sold out, and the one that I showed before were the Dragon Balls that are here. And while you look at this picture, I'll read the message here. So the question is complicated. Lucas is asking, could you summarize the mistake that the producer can make during processing of white tea and how such failed tea would taste? Okay, how they would taste is quite straightforward. Well, the easiest answer is just not good, but okay, let's discuss the topic. So I would say that generally speaking, what can go wrong in a production of white tea is, of course, wrong. First one is wrong withering, I would say. Second one is not dry enough the leaves, so they remain a little bit too much moisture in the leaves. And maybe the third one would be speeding up too much and drying the leaves too much, like too high temperature, and then you would get almost, a burned taste. The most common is, I would say, having not a proper withering. Now, withering is crucial for developing the taste. So if you don't do the proper withering, you do it either too fast or maybe not in the right conditions, because it has to be, it comes with experience. You have to match the condition of the tea, of the leaves, with the condition of the withering. And I cannot tell you how, right? I'm not a farmer, but a farmer would say, yeah, there are conditions where I put the leaves outside and after a certain amount of time I put them back in, but they don't really tell you, they didn't tell me the details. If the withering is not done correctly, what you get is just a flat taste. White tea is not an immediate tea. It's not a beginner tea, right? If you give white tea to a beginner, he would be a little bit disappointed because it doesn't have a strong taste. It's a tea that makes more tea connoisseur happy. Those that really search for elegance, for nuances, for tiny notes. And if you don't wither it properly, you don't even get those notes, and then you get just a flat taste. If the leaves are not dried enough, you get a somewhat starchy, moldy taste early on, which is also not what you would like. All right. Yes, so I think this is it, and we are almost at the end. Maybe one other aspect that we can mention, since we're speaking about taste, is the fact that from white tea you can expect a say mild taste, but nonetheless a wide range. If you go to Indian, everything is about elegance, subtle taste. Can be fruity, can be floral, can be sweet. It's almost never bitter, but very subtle and elegant. Also, Baimudan remains more or less on that side, but it has a hay, at the beginning grassy note and then a hay note that I kind of like it, on top of quite some aromatics, some faint but nice aromatics. And then when you move into shomei, it's certainly more the hay aspect of it and even starchy aspect of it dominating. Then when you move into aging, it's not like puer or even wet puer when you get a little bit of that cellar basement taste. You shouldn't search or expect that in white tea, but you certainly get more, I wouldn't say woody. Even woody doesn't belong to me so much. A little bit maybe, but not so much into old white tea, aged white tea, but certainly more in the direction of dark honey and dry fruits maybe. That's what I would say you can expect from an aging or an aged white tea. And maybe, you know, the fact that people were saying after a while it become like medicine, they're also not wrong. There is also a certain level of a Chinese medicine taste to it, if you know what I mean. All right, good. So I think in those 2+ hours we got covered quite well. I hope the fooding area, Zhenghe area for white tea, and I would say next time, which will be in 3 weeks. So I will skip next Sunday and also the Sunday after next, because I will be traveling and will be already today was a little bit challenging, let's say, to organize everything, but next week will be really impossible. And I will post on the Discord. If you are not on our Discord, there is a link in the description below. The link to access these calls is always the same throughout the whole series, so you can just click on it and it's always the same. Just take note of that. And probably I will also, like I did today, do a short Instagram story for the link available. So yeah, stay tuned for the next one. We will continue with white tea, but we will check what there is outside Fujian and maybe even outside China in terms of white tea. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked, give us a like, subscribe, that's the button, and I will see you at the next one. Bye guys.